Forced to work from home by your employer? Laid off or feeling depressed at home? Do you want to make money working from anywhere? We'll show you how to do it from your couch. It's time for another episode of the Work From Home Show. Coming to you from their homes in Austin, Texas and Tampa, Florida, here are your hosts, Adam and Naresh.
Hey, all our homies out there, homeboys, homegirls, home trans, all the homies. Welcome to another episode of the Work From Home Show. Today we are going to finish up talking with Laura Vanderkam, host of the Before Breakfast podcast, the New Corner Office podcast, and co-host of Best of Both Worlds podcast. Her 2016 TED Talk, How to Gain Control of Your Free Time, has over 5 million views, and she is the multiple best-selling author of Juliet's School of Possibilities, What the Most Successful People Do Before Breakfast, I Know How She Does It, and the new book, The New Corner Office, How the Most Successful People Work From Home. Now, I actually had to duck out of this part of the interview due to some work conflicts, but Naresh was able to continue the conversation beautifully. So Naresh, take it away.
Talking about some other topics from your other books, first off, you've written a lot you've just written a lot in general. How did you get into writing and these interesting topics of priorities and time management and what people do in the morning? But what got you interested in this?
Well, I mean, I've always loved writing. It's just something I did as a kid and wanted to be a writer growing up. I made money in college by freelancing for different publications and then sort of just kept doing it eventually, and then turned that into writing books. The topic of time came to me a little bit later. I write about all sorts of things and always have, but you're always seeing, what do you write about that other people are interested in? And some of the topics I write about, nobody's interested in. And you figure that out pretty quickly. It's sort of crickets when you send it out into the world. But the productivity and time management would get a lot of feedback. People would be like, oh, that's interesting what you're saying. And I found that I wanted to keep writing about it too. And so, after writing a few articles about the topic and getting good feedback, I pulled together a book proposal. And that became my first book, On Time, 168 Hours. And then once you write one book on a topic, you tend to become known for that. And so I've kept going with it ever since.
Got it. So what are your biggest secret hacks to time management?
Well, I mean, one thing is just being aware of where the time goes. I track my time whenever I want to write about someone else's time or study their time. I have them track their time for a week, because simply seeing how you spend your time there in black and white forces you to be accountable for it. Like you can see what needs to be changed. You might think that's something. You might see that something that you thought was a problem really isn't, or maybe something you've never even considered is taking more time than you thought. Like any decision, you want to make sure you're working from good data. And so I've tracked my time now for 5 straight years. I'm not saying that anyone else needs to do that. I'm a bit of a time management freak, but I enjoy seeing where the time goes. And then the other major bit of it is thinking about your time before you're actually in it. For many years now, I have planned my weeks ahead of time. Like on Friday, before a week starts, I sit there and look at my calendar for the next week, and I think about the next week, and I ask myself, well, what goals do I have for the next week? What are my top priorities for the next week? When can those things happen? And just by consistently doing this, you make progress on all kinds of things. And so planning your time and then, acknowledging where it goes is pretty much the secret of it.
Yeah, and in my case, I do a couple of things. Number one, I put things on a calendar and a schedule, and I stick to that schedule, even if it's things like running around the block or going to play tennis. It's on my calendar. So it's almost like a thing that I have to do, just like any of the business work stuff that I have to do. But the other thing is, because I have access to that calendar, I never overschedule myself on any given day. So let's say, for example, Laura, you want to set up a meeting with me, a follow-up meeting with me for some time in the future. Well, I'll look at my calendar and I will pick a day. I'll give you a couple of days where I know that I'm not booked too much that day. So just doing, even if it's a month from now and not tomorrow, I'll put things that way. That way I can keep my days relatively smooth, not free, but relatively smooth and efficient. And it just makes managing time a lot easier.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of leaving open space and not booking every minute because stuff comes up and then you need to deal with it.
Yep, absolutely. So how come the busiest people never act like they're busy? I don't know if you've noticed that, but that's something I've always noticed.
Well, I think it's because they have a good sense of what is on their plate and how much time those things will take. I mean, they're very good at time estimation. So even if they have a lot going on, they know that there is a space for it. And if that's the case, then you don't have to act all busy. You don't have to rush around because there is a time assigned for everything. I know I try to, when I plan my weeks, one of the reasons I plan in weeks is that I know there's a certain amount of stuff that will get done by the end of the week, but I don't have to do it on any given day. Like, I have my assignments for tomorrow all lined up, my assignments for Thursday all lined up. So today I know that there is a time for those. So I'm not sitting here thinking, I got to get to X, Y, and Z before the next thing. It's like, no, there's a time for that. And the time is Wednesday. And it will be Wednesday eventually, and I will do it. And so knowing when things will happen removes all sorts of stress.
Do you think that people have to sacrifice things in order to, I guess, quote unquote, have it all?
Not particularly. I mean, I that phrase "have it all" is such a terrible one. Anyway, I think that what tends to happen is we have this idea that it's really, really hard to build a career and have a full personal life. That clearly, if you are succeeding, you must be sacrificing on the personal front. And yet, many people with big careers do, in fact, have happy families. They exercise, they get enough sleep, and I don't think it's necessarily that they've discovered some crazy mind-boggling time-bending secret. I think it's that when you figure out what you would like to spend your time doing and make sure that you are constantly moving forward on your goals, both personally and professionally, then time doesn't seem like this huge crunched thing. There is time for everything, and particularly when you view time in the context of a week. You may not get to everything you need to in any given day, but over the course of a week, you probably will.
I am a huge fan of outsourcing because outsourcing has freed up so much time and given me a lot of freedom. I believe in hiring people to do stuff that you're not good at or that you just don't even know. What would you say are the top items to outsource instead of somebody doing themselves?
Well, it depends what you have going on in your life. I think one of the upsides of doing a time diary audit, tracking your time for a week, is that you will see what is taking a lot of time that either you're not very good at or that you don't enjoy, or maybe you enjoy and you are good at it, but it's just not the highest value use of your time. For many business owners, various administrative tasks or the sort of execution work, as opposed to bringing in new work and developing the ideas for stuff, the basic running of it is stuff you can outsource. On the home front, certainly a lot of people have found that outsourcing some of the chores, maybe some of the kid driving and things like that can lighten your load and let you feel like the time you are spending with your family members is more focused on the things that you do best.
Laura Vanderkam, host of multiple podcasts and many #1 best-selling books. You, I would say about half of your books have the term success in them. So you are somebody who is around successful people. You've interviewed successful people. You've studied successful people. In your experience, what are the most common habits that the most successful people do?
Well, I think that they are just mindful about their time. And this is, it really just comes down to acknowledging where the time goes, because time keeps passing, whether you think about how you are spending it or not. And so it is very easy to spend time mindlessly. And so by actually pausing and asking yourself, well, what would I like to do with my time? What should I do with my time? What's important to me? What would be most meaningful? What would make the biggest difference? You vastly increase the chances that you spend time on those things. Whereas if you don't ask that question and kind of let time pass, well, days pass, years pass, you may not be doing anything with it that you find particularly meaningful or exciting. And I think that would be, such a waste. So that sense of mindfulness is really the key.
Laura Vanderkam, host of the Before Breakfast podcast, the New Corner Office podcast, co-host of the Best of Both Worlds podcast, her 2016 TED Talk. Check it out. It's really, really good. How to Gain Control of Your Free Time. I watched it I recommend all of you check it out as well. It's been viewed. How many times has it been viewed now? I know it was at 6 million.
Yeah, it's like 10 million now, so
10 million?
That's pretty exciting.
That's very impressive. Multiple number one best-selling author of Juliet's School of Possibilities, a little story about the power of priorities. Also, what the most successful people do before breakfast. I Know How She Does It, 168 Hours, and the new book, The New Corner Office, How the Most Successful People Work from Home. Laura, can you just share any final thoughts you want with our listeners, including any special goodies or tidbits that you want to plug?
Oh, well, I really hope people will check out the New Corner Office. I mean, I wrote this as a guidebook for people who are really hoping to incorporate working from home into their life long term. And I know many people had to try it as a crisis response starting in March. But as we're getting past that crisis, we're starting to see that, it doesn't just have to be about replicating the office environment. We can really innovate and take advantage of, what we can do when we work from home that we couldn't do in a corporate office environment. And so this book is about taking that more mature view of working from home and seeing all that could be possible. Excellent. Laura Vanderkam, thanks for joining us on the Work From Home Show. The websites, let's plug it right here, lauravanderkam.com. That's VANDERKAM, VANDERKAM, lauravanderkam.com. Any other, I know all your books are available, barnesandnoble.com, Amazon, any other websites or anything else you want to plug? Oh, just please come visit my website, lauravanderkam.com. Like you said, I love to interact with readers, so please come visit me there. Excellent. Well, Laura Vanderkam, thanks for joining us on the Work From Home Show. And to all our listeners, check us out, workfromhomeshow.com, www.workfromhomeshow.com. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to us, hello@workfromhomeshow.com. That's hello@workfromhomeshow.com. We love to hear your feedback about what you thought about Laura's interview. If you have any other guest suggestions, you can also get a lot of free stuff on our website if you get on our mailing list at workfromhomeshow.com. Leave us a review on iTunes or TuneIn or Stitcher or Spotify or any podcasting platform that you use. And until next time, keep on working from home.